My name is Steiner. I work on the Chrome team in the developer relations team. And today I'm here to talk about giving you enough material to learn just enough about Chrome built-in AIs to be productive. And previously, we had the talk from Anselm, who talked about if you want to bring AI into your app, maybe you should instead bring soul into your app. And I wholeheartedly agree with this statement. So if you want to bring actually AI into your app, what are your options? You could go to the cloud and call some sort of API and have a server running somewhere and then get the results streamed to your application. That's something you can do. I just talked to a gentleman over there who is working on Web LLM. So this is allowing you to download massive, small, medium-sized, typically relatively big AI models onto your browser and run your inference with WebAssembly on the web GPU, for example, so these kind of things. But today, I'm here to talk about built-in AI. So on the Chrome team, we have thought about what if, rather than every single app on the planet that wants to do AI downloading their own models, what about if you have something like an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the use cases can be addressed with just one AI model that we have in the browser and that we share. So when I submitted this talk, I didn't know yet about another big event that was taking place, which is this guy, Google I/O. There's always live talks and there's pre-recorded talks. I was one of the pre-recorded talks, and shameless plug, please watch it. This is the YouTube link. And in there, everything needs to be planned, fixed, no glitches. If there's a glitch, they will edit it out in post. I said I didn't know yet about Google I/O, which of course is a lie. I knew about it. I didn't know about the date of Google I/O. But turns out it was last week. So I literally flew in on the Friday, arriving on the Saturday from San Francisco to here, Berlin. I haven't been home, and I won't be home for another week. So that's the glorious Google developer relations life. But what this means is I thought I will give this conference something else. This won't be slides. This will be the rough cut. So the things that can go wrong and probably will go wrong. And if you want to see the where everything is working as intended version, definitely go watch this talk. But yeah, today I want to give you the rough cut. So things that will break and things that go maybe wrong. And at Google I/O, I learned one thing. So if a demo works, what do? You applaud. If a demo goes wrong, what do? You woohoo! Applaud even harder. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So I built an app. If you want to try it, it's localfirstconf rocks.glitch.me. By the way, Glitch is dying. I'm super sad about that, but luckily it's dying after this talk. So here we go. Localfirstconf rocks, and I just put my speaker bio here because I needed some sort of content that I own. And I want to show you some of these APIs that we're building into Chrome and just show them directly and live using something called developer tools. So let's make some space here. This is actually, I don't care about those. This is not coming from my app. This is some sort of extension that logs to the console. So, but thanks for the, you got this, right? Just for you to know, I gave this bio an ID. Oops. So we can just get it directly. So this is this. So when I refer to bio in the coming minutes, this is this div with, you can see the bio here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to show you the language detector API. So what do? Well, first you need to get a reference to it. So language detector equals await language detector dot create. So this gives me a language detector. And with this language detector, I can, of course, detect the language. So let me just do that, language detector dot detect, and then we get bio.inner text, and this is an async, so I need to await this guy. And we get back an array with 2 entries, and if I expand the first one, you can see with 99% confidence, the API has determined this text to be English. So that's my first demo working. That's a mild applause, right? This is not super exciting. So let's actually store this in a variable. So let's go this 0.detected language, and we put this in a variable. L equals this guy. So now in this variable, we have English. And now with the next API, I want to show you how you can combine this. So we have in Chrome now a translator. So const translator equals translator.create. And for this guy, we need to give it the source language, which is our L that we just determined to be English. And we need a target language that we can, well, we're in Berlin, so let's make it German. So now we have an English-German translator. And this can, of course, translate. So we call translator. Oh, thank you. Yeah, good. Good that someone is paying attention. So let's do this again. Move to here. Yeah, thank you. It can. That's one of the DevTools features that they fixed. Awesome. So obviously this works only in DevTools, but this was so annoying to people like me that we gave feedback to the team and told them, hey, can you fix this? And let us just on the console redeclare consts, and that's what they did. So now we have the translator that can translate, and we give it the bio.inner text as before, and this time I'm thinking of awaiting the result. And then we can see Thomas Steiner ist ein Entwickler, Relations Engineer bei Google mit Schwerpunkt auf Web-KI, so Web-AI, Web-KI, and so on. So you can see it did its job, it translated everything. So you can see already how this is useful for user-generated content, where you can just take the content that the user has typed, translate it to your target language, put it somewhere in the database, or have I don't know, your support agent at the human end, not at the AI end, at the human end, receive a message, and they can work with this. When I say put AI into your application, but do it wisely with soul, if you use Jess's term, what I mean is, it makes sense to do this. If the text is the same for everyone, just do it once on the server. Burn the planet only once. If the text is different for each user, like user-generated content, then of course it does make sense to run it individually on the client. So definitely be smart about where you run your AI. So that's the first 2 APIs, the translation API and the language detection API. And the second demo also worked. I think this was a little more exciting, so we can maybe give a little bit more of an applause while I get the console ready. And the next API that I want to show you is the Summarizer API. So this bio is pretty long. So if we want to get the key points of this bio, my attention span is that of Generation TikTok. I want to condense this down to just the key points. So in Chrome now we have a Summarizer equals await Summarizer dot create. So you can see the pattern already. Now we have the summarizer, and of course the summarizer can summarize. And we give it bio.in text. And by the way, why inner text? Because inner text maintains, for example, the 2 paragraphs here. So it gives you like an ASCII art representation of the text. So if the paragraphs are important, which in this case is the case, you definitely want to use that. So let's wait until the summarizer has done its job. And hopefully it will work. Yes, it did work. So you can see now it's returning results in Markdown. It's a little hard to see here, but there's new lines. So you can see there's bullet points So it has returned me the key points of this biography. And of course, this is just a toy text. You can imagine how this can be useful if you have actually long text. And again, don't burn the planet on every single client. Burn the planet only once. So when does this make sense? This does make sense when you have a summary with personalization. So for example, you have reviews. Let's say for, I don't know, a bus, right? Or Deutsche Bahn. Let's take bus. So on buses, what do you get? Well, on buses, you get Wi-Fi. On buses, you get a seat. On buses, you get toilets sometimes. So let's say you want to summarize reviews, and you want to say, I read books. I don't mind if anyone complains about the bad quality of the Wi-Fi. So I can have a summary and say, like, hey, in the summary, only pay attention to the quality of the seats and the whatever, the presence or not of a restroom. So this is where it makes sense, where you have personalization come into play. So this is the second API. And you see already there's an input form here. So that's the third API that I want to show you, which is the prompt API. So for this, I will actually turn off DevTools because we don't need them anymore. And I can now type anything here. So I can say, tell me a short joke. And then you can see, well, it has this LLM kind of humor, right? That the bicycle fall over because it had 2 flat tires. Ha, ha, ha. So that's cool. So the prompt API is an API where you can just write anything, which is useful, but maybe not what most applications need. So typically what we want to do is we want to give this a little bit more structure. And this is where now the features of the prompt API come in that I don't want to show in DevTools. So I invite you over to my glitch here so you can see the code behind this. The first thing we want to do is we want to install React. Ha, 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 no. This is all, of course, vanilla JavaScript, because who needs React if you can have vanilla JS? Yes! Someone over here got it. Awesome. So it's a toy application, so I don't need a framework. But in many cases, also, you don't maybe need React, but this is just me. So what we have here is a form, and in this form, we have a submit listener, and then we have the prompt, which is the input value trimmed, and then you can see already this is the actual juice here. So we have the language model that we create, just like the pattern before. We have the thing.create. This gives us the whatever it is. In this case, it's the language model. And then this time, I'm showing you the streaming methods. Before, I showed you always the non-streaming variants, but all of the other APIs have streaming variants as well. So you can see token by token how the LLM comes up with the response. So here we get a stream back. And then we can just iterate over each chunk of the stream and then append the output to our output, the chunk to our output here. OK, so that's the basic what you saw until now. As I said, this is allowing you to do anything. In the prompt API, we have something called structured output. So let me just move to this file here and just quickly hook it up to our index. Where is this? Here. So now let me connect this to here. And now you can see there's a response constraint. And this is a JSON schema. Super simple, like the most primitive JSON schema, which tells you the output of this should just be a Boolean. JSON schema is, of course, a lot more expressive. So you can say, make this an object that has this and that property and only has 3 entries and whatever. So JSON schema is pretty expressive, so you can use it here. And the way it works is you now take this response constraint and just pass it here as an option. So now we have this response constraint here passed to the LLM. Everything else is exactly the same as before, so same form, same submit listener, blah, blah, blah. But this time we expect the LLM to only return Booleans. So let's have a look how this works. I need to refresh, and then we can ask this famous, is it colder at night than outside? Ist nachts kälter als draußen. The Germans will maybe know this phrase. So it's, of course, stupid, but we force the LLM to either respond with true or false. So let's run this. And the LLM says true. Way, amazing. Yeah, thank you. So this is, of course, not very useful yet. But now we can say something like, is fire hot? And hopefully it will say true. No. Yes. So sometimes, and this is where it becomes interesting, sometimes these LLMs don't know the simplest facts because no one writes down those simple facts. So that's kind of funny in a way, but of course it's not ideal in this particular case. Let's try the opposite. Is ice cold? Okay, so at least this one it got right. So this is a small LLM, and LLMs that small are not particularly great at knowledge. So that's something to take home when you build applications. But LLMs this size, and I will talk about the size a little later, are still useful for other stuff. So let's actually now hook this up to my final part in this demo. And I will just get a reference to the file name here, go to here, and replace this. So what I'm doing in the next part here is I'm getting a reference to the image, so to my profile image here. So that's an emoji, of course, because the venue, disco ball. So that's getting a reference to my profile image here. We still have the same response constraint as before. And what I'm doing now is I'm sending a slightly more complex prompt. So you can see the prompt now contains text, and the prompt contains the image. And let's just for a moment comment out the response constraint. So now we can just ask anything about the image. Let's give this a quick try. Let's go here. And now I can say, let's just start simple. What do you see? And let's see what the LLM sees. A person wearing a green hat, white shirt, and black and white backpack stands on the beach. The person's face is turned upside down, looking out at the sea. So I think that's actually I think that's actually something to do with the what's it called, the camera thing that cameras like the orientation. Yeah, what's it called? X something. Yeah, EXIF, the EXIF information. So I think it's seeing the image actually flipped. So the browser corrects it. But I've seen my profile image flipped. So that's actually sort of correct. It's maybe not expected because the browser displays it right, but to the LLM it looks upside down. But yeah, you can see it sort of gets the basics correct. So let's put our JSON schema response constraint in again. So now we force it to respond with yes or no. So now we can ask, is there a person in this picture? Hopefully it says true. Yes, woohoo. So it's telling me there's a person in this picture. Let's see, does this person wear a hat? Yes! So this person wears a hat. And you can see already how this is starting to become useful. So, of course, a real-world use case could be you're working on some sort of ID verification thing, and before uploading, you want to make sure that what the user tries to upload actually does look like, let's say, a German driver's license. So the LLM has knowledge about driver's licenses, so you can build sort of a mini classifier and say like, hey, before you upload this, does this actually look like a driver's license? So you can see how this becomes useful when you imagine where this is headed. Okay, so this is all built in. So there's no requests to the network, which of course brings us to local first conference. So I went and built another app. So I built this guy here. Prompt API SQLite. And it's on my GitHub, so if you want to test it and you have the APIs enabled, feel free to do so. But let's start with creating a new conversation. Takes a little moment for the very first time because it needs to initiate the model. Come on, don't disappoint me now. What is it doing? Oh, let's see. Okay, here we go. Just needed a refresh. Okay, so now we can say, tell me things to do in Berlin. Whoop. And I will start with outputting LLM stuff about, well, things it knows about Berlin. And Brandenburg Gate, yeah, definitely makes sense. East Side Gallery is right next door. It's a pretty long response, I guess. So let's see. Jüdisches Museum also makes sense. DDR Museum also makes sense. East German Cinema Museum. Not sure if I have heard about this. It might exist, who knows? So again, LLMs that small don't sometimes know everything about places. Okay, so, whoa, this is gonna be a very long response. Traditional Berlin beer garden, yes, definitely on my list. Tips of waiting list. Has excellent public transportation, that's also true. Don't drive without a ticket, though. I remember I was a teenager and I got caught. It was very expensive. Okay, so now we have hit the end of the response. And we actually have hit a bug with the LLM because it responds with boss. So right now it has this bug where sometimes it would run into a state where it just responds with boss or pad, which are internal control sequences that it should never hit. The thing is, once it hits one of those, the session is broken. So that's a strong applause. But I can just reset the conversation and start with something new. So tell me a short joke. So let's be on the safe side. Okay, so now you can see it has told me a joke and it has summarized the conversation, which means now I can close this and start a new conversation. So let's see. Who is this person? And now I can add an image. And I can add my image from before. This is the Google thing that checks that I don't upload anything illegal, so don't worry about this. And now I can send this to the LLM, and it will see the prompt and the image before. I'm not famous enough that it would recognize who I am, but then I can follow up with before, because now I can say, like, does this person wear a hat? And now I don't have a response constraint in, so it responds longer, but you can see that it sees that I am wearing a hat. It's dark green, baseball cap, also true. And small yellow logo on the front, yes, also true, because it's a John Deere hat. So you can see, yeah, this is actually making sense. But what is cool now, I can switch context. So I can go back to here and say, like, another. And it will know that I'm that I'm interested in jokes. Again, it's a small LLM, so it doesn't really super know that it has told this joke before. But it gives me something different. So that's kind of cool, but maybe what is coolest now is I can just reload, and it has everything still present. The second one, give it a second. Yeah, here we go. That's me holding SQLite wrong. So how does this work? Well, I'm storing the conversation context in SQLite. So let's open DevTools for a second. And you can see here what is happening in the background. And let's now maybe continue with my session here. So I can say, is this a man or a woman? From just this image. Well, LLMs sort of are trained to not classify genders, so I'm sort of testing the limits here. So it's actually, that's sort of some of the safeguarding things that the LLM engineers put into it. But you can see now in the background how things have happened. So there has been some SQLite happening. I can reload this, and the conversation will still be there. But of course, now I can go fully offline, so I can turn my Wi-Fi off. And I can still continue and say, like, I want a new conversation, add an image, and I downloaded this on purpose, this one here. So that's a Badeschiff. I'm not sure if someone has seen the Badeschiff. If you are in the hotel, just over there. If you look outside of the window, it's over there. And it's a ship with a pool inside on a river. So that's super fascinating. So what do you see here? Oops, here, like that. And the AI will hopefully, yes, show me the Spree River in Germany on a sunny day, la 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 la. And you can see this is all offline. I disconnected completely. There's no request happening in the background. Let's have a quick look at our database here. So I built a little extension called OPFS Explorer, which allows me to just download and inspect what is happening in the OPFS. So I'm downloading the database now, and it should be here. And I can just show you that's probably pretty small, but you can see some of my queries here. So tell me a joke, why don't scientists is the answer, another. And you can all see this is ordered by the unique session IDs that I have here. So it's all persisted in the database. I do have the blobs in here somewhere. So there's the blob. So you can see, well, you can't really see it because it's small. Yeah, this is my profile picture. So you can, that's a D of my Deutsche backpack. And yeah, you can actually see this gets it right. So this gets it from the EXIF. So for some reason, it is flipped. So it's not a lie. I'm actually glad that this is not a lie, because you can see it's actually flipped for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I was holding my phone upside down to take the selfie. That's a very unpleasant view of my nose here. So this is all happening in the SQLite database. And it's a PWA, so you can just install it, close DevTools, and now you have your own mini SQLite prompt API LLM running all local in the browser. And that's essentially what I wanted to show you. So thank you very much.